Okay, this is Bonnie Barker, and I want to welcome you to video number 2 on the Holiday Cables Throw Crochet Along. Let me just do a quick review of the first video. We covered the foundation chain, we covered the low front ridge, and we covered the 2 rows of the cable stitch. So you should have that completed as we begin this video. Okay, we are going to chain 1. And now, if you're following along with me in the pattern provided by Red Heart Yarns, we are starting row 6. And if you look at the pattern, it says rows 6 and 7, repeat rows 2 and 3. Well, rows 2 and 3 we've already covered in the first video, but I'm going to go ahead and just review a little bit of that with you so you know where to put the hook in these rows. Okay, as I explained in the first video, when we do the low front ridge, we are only working in the front loop. Okay, and then when we do row 7, we are going to work in the back loop coming from the other direction. Okay, and I am going to skip this first stitch simply so this stitch doesn't bulge here. And again, this is by doing so, we are not affecting the stitch count because the stitch count is primarily, actually, it's only based upon what happens in row 7. Okay, so we're going to just do a slip stitch, working in the front row only. I'm going to do a few of these in front of some of these cables so that you can get an idea of what it's supposed to look like. And if yours doesn't look anything like this, then maybe you need to take a look at the first video again. Okay, if you have any questions, I mean, if we end up getting thousands and thousands of people, I may not be able to get to everybody, but if a lot of people are having the same sort of problem, I'll be happy to try to address that as best I can. There's nothing like sitting down side by side with somebody learning to crochet, things like this, but I will say videos are certainly making it a lot more accessible to a lot of people. Okay, so you see what I'm doing, just in the front loop and doing a single slip stitch rather. Okay, and this is what this row should look like. I'm going to finish this row and get back to you. Okay, here we are at the end of the row again. I'm just going to finish the last 3 slip stitches, 2, and notice that we are only working in the single crochets. I'm not working in the turning chain because again, we're not worried about having to make this stitch count perfect because this is not what the stitch count's based on. It's based on what we're going to do right here. And do not skip the first stitch. Go ahead and I want you to single crochet in each remaining loop across. Okay, hopefully you can see the loop that I'm finding here. Okay, so that's a short review of that stitch. I'm going to go to the end of this row and then we're going to learn a new stitch. Be right with you. Go ahead, and by the way, go ahead and push pause whenever you need to, and then as soon as you finish the row you can catch up to me and resume, or you can always join the video another day when you catch up. Don't feel any pressure by what we accomplish in each video. Work at your own pace. Hold on. Okay, let me show you the end of this row. I'm going to do the last 3 stitches. 1, to make sure you see what they look like. 2, and 3. Again, don't worry about the end if it doesn't look like it's totally even to you. The stitch count is even. That's the main thing. And we will be working a perimeter round to make that all look nice and pretty. Okay, I'm going to chain 1. I want to show you what we have so far. Okay. Now, the next stitch we are going to work is called the arrow stitch. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, actually I needed to chain 3. So I had chained 1, 2, 3 at the beginning of this row. Okay. Now what we're going to do, okay, this chain 3 here does count as a double crochet now and throughout according to the pattern. We're going to skip the first stitch and we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, let's go ahead and give that a try. Okay, we're going to double crochet here. Now we're going to wrap 2 times. We're going to get ready for our treble. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, or I'll use the hook. Maybe that would be easier. 1, 2, 3. Skip those, and then in the 4th stitch, we're going to work a treble crochet. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to working behind this treble crochet, we are going to double crochet in the 3 skipped stitches. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we're going to do that again, and all the way across. We're going to wrap the hook twice. We're not going to work in the stitches that have been worked on. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then we're going to work a treble crochet in the next stitch, and then working behind this post, we are going to work 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the skipped stitches. 2 and 3. Let me do one more of those for you. I'm going to double wrap it for the treble. Okay, we're going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and we're going to treble in the next stitch. Okay, now working in the 3 skip stitches and working behind this post, we're going to do double crochet in each of the skip stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now I'm going to finish this row and then I'll show you what the ending looks like. Okay, I am now near the end of the row. I'm going to work one more of these. I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and treble crochet in the next stitch. Working behind the treble, I'm going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then the last 2 stitches, according, following the pattern, it says to double crochet in the last 2 stitches. So we're going to do 1, 2. Okay, so we're halfway through the arrow stitch. Okay, so you should have 43 repeats like this, okay, across the row. Now, to begin row number 9, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to turn. We're going to skip the first stitch, and we're going to double crochet in the next, just like this. Okay, so you can see how the row ends should look. This is the back side. Okay, all right, now the next thing we're going to do, we are going to skip the next 3 stitches, and it's easy to see. You're going to skip these double crochets. We're going to treble crochet in the next stitch, which is also the treble crochet from the last row. It really is much easier to see it in this row because it stands out. Make sure that you are doing the treble in what was the treble crochet of the other row. Okay, now working in front of this treble crochet, because we are on the back side after all, we're going to double crochet in each of the skipped 3 skipped double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do that all the way across the row. Okay, we're going to skip the next 3 double crochets, and then we're going to treble in the treble crochet of the other row, and then double crochet in the 3 skip stitches, but working in front of that treble crochet. Make sure that it stays in the front. And this is the back side facing. Okay. I'm going to do this one more time and then I'll show you what it looks like from the front. We're going to skip these 3 stitches and then work a treble crochet. And let me just make mention of that too. You need to be careful in some of these patterns. There are trebles and doubles in the same row. Okay, that's kind of how a lot of these cables come out so nice, is we're mixing it up a little bit on you. But once you get the hang of it, I think you'll enjoy that, and it'll become second nature. You do something about 200 times or 176 times across the row, you know, you eventually pick it up. All right, let me show you what the front side is going to look like now. See how lovely that is coming out? Okay, so let me go ahead and finish going across this row, and then I'll show you what the end of row 9 looks like. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm at the end, towards the end of the row. I'm going to work one more. One more arrow stitch. I'm going to skip these 3, work a treble crochet in the treble crochet from the last row. Get some more yarn. And I'm going to work a double crochet in the 3 double crochets that I just skipped. 2, 3. Hope you can see that. And now I'm going to work a double crochet in the last 2 stitches. In this case, it's going to be the double crochet and then work 1 in the chain. I like to work in the top of the chain, or like that. Okay, as you can see what I've done there. All right, now let me flip this around so you can see what we have. Okay, so far this is what we have. Okay, now let me try to explain the next thing we're going to do. Okay, we are going to do row, let's see, row 10 and 11, and that is single crochet in each stitch across. Okay, and this will bring us, we will still have the 176 stitches in a row. So just single crochet across and back. Okay, so let me go ahead and do this to the end, and I'll come back to you. Okay, I'm to the end of the row. I'll do the last few stitches so you get a feel for what this looks like. Now, I read earlier that for these 2 rows, the double crochet counts as a stitch, therefore we're going to single crochet in the top of that. You're going to want to be careful of that with some of my patterns. A lot of times I don't like to work in the chain, so each one is pattern specific, so just want to keep an eye on that. So you should have 176 stitches across. Now that's just one row of single crochet. We need to do that for rows 10 and 11. So that was row 10, and incidentally the even rows are going to be front side facing. The odd rows are going to be back side facing in most cases. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to single crochet all the way across this row. I'm just going to do a few of these. We are only going to be working in the stitch. We're not going to be working in the turning chain of this row, just to be specific. Okay, now let me turn this around and show you and give you some additional instructions on where to go from here. Okay, this is what we have right here. This is the first 10 rows. Actually, first 11 rows once I complete this row. And some of you may be thinking, gee whiz, that's an awful lot of crocheting for just a few inches of material. And you would be right in saying that. And that's mostly because these stitches, the low front ridge and the cable, low front ridge, are pretty compact stitches. Now, the arrow stitch, as you noticed, has probably even more height than these 6 stitches. So hopefully this will give you some hope. Once you finish this section, I'm going to have you, well, let me finish what I was going to say. What you're going to do after you finish this row, this is row 11, is you're going to go back, and The next row you're going to work up here is going to be the low front ridge, which is row 2 followed by row 3. And then you're going to work another 2 cable rows. That's row 4 and row 5. And then you're going to work row 6 and row 7 again, which is low front ridge. So all of this that you see here is going to be placed on this side as well. Now I could go back through that and go on and on about that, or I could just say what I'm going to say. I'm going to say go back. If you still need stitch support for that section, go back to video 1 and start at row 2. It's going to be the exact same thing that you need to do, but again, it's on this side. So you're going to have a cable here, the arrow, and then the cable, and then a low front ridge. Okay, once you do that, we're going to be ready to start video 3, which is the woven stitch. And I think you're going to find when we get to the panel sections, which has, you know, quite a few inches of one particular stitch, like the woven stitch or the Celtic weave, you're going to see that this Afghan does pick up the pace and does go much faster. And you're not going to have to be glued to a pattern or listening to me on YouTube or whatever social media you're using. Okay, so this ends video 2. Once you complete that, you will be at the end of row 17 and we'll be ready to begin video number 3. God bless. I'm so glad you guys are sticking with me. Bye-bye.